Hello everyone, it's Jean from Inky Studio. I have another installment here of my Edith Holden Nature book journal that I've been altering and making. And I'll put the playlist down below in case you missed some of the first ones. And today we are going to make this cute little pouch that holds little observation cards inside here. So we'll get started, and also if you like this video, please hit the like button and subscribe. I would really so appreciate it. Thank you so much, and now let's get started. So for this project, for this pouch, what I want to do is I want to make a little faux pouch for this printout. And if you can read it, I don't know how well my camera is focusing, but it's Field Record. I got these from Musings by Inky. I will put a link down below where that's at. They're really cute. It has like sketch and then specimen, location, notes, date. Just something that you would fill out if you took a walk in the woods and collected things. Maybe you can collect leaves and glue them onto here, or get pictures, whatever, or just write notes, whatever you'd like to do. So I want to make a pouch for these. I think of October as the time that I would like to go out walking in the woods and collecting things, so I'm going to put it here. And also the colors I think go really nice with the leaves over here. This particular print is from the Graphics Fairy Premium site, and it's called Fabric Book Cover. And so this is what I want to make, and I want to make it custom, of course, to fit these here. I'm going to allow, let me just put this to the side. I'm going to allow a good inch up on top, about 3/4 of an inch on each side. I'm trying to think if I'm going to do it this way, or I guess I'll do it this way. Okay, I'm going to do it this way. So, okay, here we go. We'll pretend that's the top. So I'm going to allow about 1 inch on the top and 3/4 on the side, but I think in this case I'm just going to leave it and fold it and cut it off. And then about 1/2 inch on the bottom. So I'm going to cut it off right there. So I have my piece cut, and I'm going to fold it, so I'm going to turn it over. And I'm going to fold the side in, but I don't want to fold it super tight to my card. I want to leave just a little bit, like, 1/4 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, 1/8 of an inch, something like that nature. But just enough so that it can slide in and out. Okay, if you can see where the crease is at, and a little space there. And then I'm going to go ahead and fold up the bottom. And I'm going to fold the bottom at about 1/2 inch, like this. Alrighty. Now I'm going to cut the flaps down a little bit because they are a little bit too much. So I'll cut them back to about 1/2 inch. I'm going to also open it up, and I'm going to cut at a slight angle right here in the corner. Alright, so I'm going to follow those fold lines and just cut at a little angle right in there so that the bulk won't be so much bulk in there. And now I want to fold down to the top, get them in here. I want to fold this down about like that. Alright, so that I have, again, some room there between the folds. And I'm doing this to make the entry a little bit more stable. And once I've done that, this time I'm going to cut straight on this fold, and then I'm going to angle. So I'm going to cut straight on that fold. This fold here will be straight, and this here will be at an angle. Okay. Now I'm just going to go ahead and glue down that top portion that I'm making so that it will be nice and stable up there. Alright. And then I'm going to fold down the sides, and I'm going to glue the bottom over the sides. And that makes it easier, and this is true for any pocket. So yeah, I am making a pocket. I guess that's true, I am. I'm making it so that it will be easy for it to slip in and not get hung up on that bottom one there. So that is the bottom of this little pouch that I'm making. And now for the top, I am doubling this up. And I'm just going to fold this piece in half so I have plenty to work with. Because when I glue this into the journal, I want the top to sneak behind the pouch bottom a little bit, so that when you open up, it looks like it's all continuous on the inside, right? So let me cut this down to the exact width, with my journal, and so you can see that it's off a little bit. Yeah, what I'll do is I'll just gently fold it back, and then I can see my marks a little bit better. And I just want to make sure I cut it so it's just on the inside about 1/8 of an inch. So it's just a tiny, tiny bit more narrow than the bottom. So this is my top, and as you can see, it's a little bit smaller, just a tiny bit smaller than the pouch. I went ahead and pulled this up because I've decided that I'm going to stitch around the inside. And of course you need to do that before you do any gluing. So I'm going to go ahead and give it a stitch on the sewing machine around the various places. Now if you're not going to sew this, then of course you're going to need to glue this together. And you'll need to glue it together. So, okay, let me go get that stitched around it, and I've also inked around it, and I inked inside these little 2 flaps right here, just so that there won't be any chance of that showing white. Okay, and now with your flap, either glue, to make sure you glue the edges really well on these 2 sides, either glued or stitched. We're going to put this down into the pouch just a little ways, just a little bit. And I'm going to make sure that it's straight. I'm going to line it up on my surface here, whatever you can find that's straight. Make sure it's lined up pretty straight. And you're going to make a fold. You're going to fold this down. Now you got to determine, how much of a flap do I want. So actually I want a little less of a flap, so I'm going to put it down just a little tiny bit like so. And now I'm going to go ahead and put down about this much. I think this much would be about right. So before I crease it down, I'm just making sure it's even. And burnish it up. There we go. And so now we have the flap. So this part here will be sticking down inside the pocket a bit, and we'll be gluing this back portion of the flap down onto the paper, and then gluing down, of course, the pocket. But before we do that, I'm going to do something else. I'm going to kind of make a little bit more dimension on here. And I have some, this is called twill tape. Gross grain ribbon would work well too. But this is twill tape. I really like it. It's very rustic looking. And I want it to be darker. Don't want it to be quite this bright. So I'm going to go ahead and just ink it up. I could tea stain it, but for the little bit that I'm doing, and just for the sake of time, I'm just going to go ahead and ink over this ribbon a little bit. So this is how it's going to be glued into the paper. Now I want to take 2 of these, and I'm going to put one on this side. I'm going to have it hang down about that far. Let me cut a second one. Like so. Let's see, I might have to, no, I think it'll be fine. And so what I'm going to do with this is I'm going to glue it around on the back here. So we'll just take a little bit of this glue. Now I want to come in about this far on this side. Okay, which means on the other side, I need to do the same thing. So I came in an inch on that side, and I need to go an inch on that side. Maybe just a little bit more over. There we go. So they're kind of equal distance between the two there. Okay, now I probably should have done this before I glued, but I still can. I'm going to put some eyelets in here. And the best way to punch a hole inside fabric, at least I have found, is to put a piece of cardstock underneath it. So you'll want a piece of cardstock and your fabric, and the cardstock needs to be on the bottom. Now you're used to, normally if you were to make a hole, you're used to aligning up this part here and just coming up and making a hole, but you're going to be doing this the other way around. So it's going to be upside down. You're going to watch the little, if you can see that little, I don't know what it's called, but it's what punches the, I know it's shiny, trying to get a good look here. This little part right here. You need to keep an eye on that. You're going to mark where you want that hole to be and lay it over your cardstock like so. Hold your crocodile upside down and then just press that little latch, press it in. It won't go through until you really squeeze it, but squeeze it a little bit so that it is over that hole. Okay, so if you can see that it's punching on that hole there. And then when you get done, you have a pretty nice hole. You, of course, may have to cut a few strings off, but the hole is very good. And it's perfect to put your eyelet in. So that's how you punch holes into fabric for eyelets. Now, if you don't have a crocodile and you have one of these hole punches, you can get in there and work. All right, and the problem is that you're going to have is when you take your thing out, you're all out, it's going to want to go back to the way it was. So what I kind of do, just tiny, two little tiny snips. I mean, they're just tiny snips, right? And let's see if we can get a eyelet into that. It's not easy. As you can see, it wants to heal itself and go back again. Now, somebody may have already figured out a way to do this. I'm going to get my tiny scissors out and start making some more tiny snips in there. Different places all around so that you can make a hole. And see if we can't spread it on here, and yeah, we're doing it. And then you might want to get in there and work out the threads. Now it will depend on how thick your fabric is. So twill tape is pretty thick. Now if you had thin fabric, like just a light cotton or whatever, or a light ribbon, this would not be a problem. You would be able to use your awl and probably get that in there really well. But it is going to take a little work on something thick, like a canvas or a thicker type of fabric. So that's just tips for you. If take what you want, leave the rest. So anyways, I am putting these in here because I remember my dad had these binoculars in this case, and this is years ago, and they had these type of eyelets that would latch onto a hook, a little hook that stood up to close the case. And this is kind of what I'm trying to replicate. Now we're ready to put it into the page, finally. So, I mean, the first time you make anything, it's going to be new and everything, but actually, these really are not that difficult. And they're very fun. They look very fun. So, first thing I'm going to do is glue in the bottom of my pouch here. Make sure I get along the edges there. And there, just on the edges of both sides of those flaps. There we go. Put it in just about where I want it. I think right about here is good. Alright, so that's in there. Now I'm going to glue right along here. I'm not coming to the edge. And the reason I'm not is because I may have to shift this a little bit, and I didn't want glue to come up. So you'll see in a minute what I might have to do here. Alright. Now you're going to have to pick this up, and you'll want to get this in front of those little flaps there. You'll want to get this in front of that. So you just sort of pick it up a little bit. And then before you press down, you just are going to size up how you want that flap to look. And I think that would be just about right for me. Yep, that looks good. And then we'll glue it down. If you want to, you can go back in, put a little bit more glue in that area that we didn't glue. Okay, so here is our little pouch. It's so cute. We put in our little cards in there. And that, I think, is really, really cute. Might put something there, I don't know. We'll have to see what I do. But as it is, I'm really liking it. I might even go ahead and glue these down even further, because they can flap a little bit, but I don't want them flapping too much. There. But that is our little pouch for our observation cards, or if you don't have this digital, that's no problem. They can just be a whole bunch of cards in there. So that wraps it up for this little cute pouch. And next time we get together, I am going to be showing you how I put together this vellum envelope in this journal. And thank you so much for viewing, and thank you so much for your support. I so truly appreciate it. And we will be seeing you real soon. Bye.